Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show of monks, by monks, and for monks in the World of Warcraft. Today is September 10th, 5.4 drop day. This week, we're joined by a special guest as we talk about the new patch and what to expect as you log in to the first time on your monk. This is Monk Meditation, Episode 4. Hello, all you wonderful monks out there, and a special hello to those watching live in the dojo. My name is Chai T from Airy Peak, US. Thank you for taking the time away from the Timeless Isle and for taking the time away from kicking Garrosh out of Orgrimmar just to listen to us. We appreciate that. So I'm going to introduce you to today's hosts. We have a special one, too. So starting off with our heroic rating tank, Sunnier from Fenrir, US. How you doing, Sunnier?
Doing pretty good. It's rough taking a break from all that new patch stuff, but
I know it's like I just want to be. I want to be in there killing mobs, getting timeless coins right now. But oh well. Going to the healing side of things, covering the Mistweaver, we have from Airy Peak, US, Daikatsu. How you doing, man?
I am excited. Patch 5.4 dropped, and I've only got 2,700 more coins to go. I'm never going to do this.
It's about where I'm at too, but. All right, another healer to keep us on track, also from Airy Peak, US. Now Yuki, how you doing, man?
Confucius say, show off, always showing up in showdown.
And where'd you get that one?
Confucius say was sent in by the one and only Chai T.
Yes.
Hey, buddy.
I take no credit on this. This actually came from a fortune cookie from a buffet down the street that I go to all the time. That little nugget of wisdom came from them, so I take no credit. But it does work out nicely. So how's your time been in WoW lately now?
A little slow, getting ready for the new patch. So enjoyed some time off, especially last week being Labor Day weekend. Enjoyed it with the family. But I'm happy to be back, and we got into 5.4, and thankfully no broken add-ons, so that's always good.
I'd say I was nervous to click that load out-of-date add-ons, so I didn't, and now it's like I'm missing so much stuff, so I might just go back and click that off and see what happens. Rolling the dice. Finally today, though, we have a special guest with us today. Air is not able to join us. He's traveling in the United States, so he's very close to me and yet still can't be on. So, but filling in for him this week is a host of another fine monk podcast who recently started up, Monk Craft Podcast. Golvin, how are you?
Good, thank you.
All right, and go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna add on, just like Sunnier said, kind of just taking a break from all the new stuff right now. It's like so much stuff to do. I probably have to make a list of what to do on the Timeless Isle.
Yeah, it's just in the last, I think, hour while we were in the pre-show, I was in here just messing around in there, and I got a lot of stuff done, but there's still a lot of stuff to go, and I died a lot. So, should be fun. So, speaking of 5.4, let's get to know the host a little bit. What is your favorite feature, or the most looked forward to feature of 5.4? Start with Sunnier. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm really excited about Proving Grounds, because it's finally, when Brewmasters ask me where they can practice because they're having so much trouble picking up the class, I can just send them to Proving Grounds instead of coming up with some sort of convoluted, like, go try to solo this 5-man and then this 5-man. Now there's just an answer that straight up teaches them most of the skills they need to know. But I'm also pretty excited about the Timeless Isle. I didn't do any of it on the PTR because I wanted to keep one thing not spoiled. And but I did get to explore it earlier this afternoon, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I am enjoying the Timeless Isle, and also Proving Grounds I'm looking forward to too, because as a raid leader I can just say like, okay, yeah, link me silver, link me gold. Makes my job easy. All right, Daikatsu, what are you looking forward to?
Flex rating is probably the most exciting thing to happen to World of Warcraft since LFR, because there's a promise there. If you can combine flex rating tech where the bosses scale around, and then you take that challenge mode tech where you're scaling the players around, you could really have a lot of fun with content. create a molten core that will scale everyone down to the appropriate level 60, but it's good for anyone from about 10 to 40. That's what's got me most excited about flex rating.
Yeah, got it. I wish we had flex rating back in Molten Core, because I can't count the number of times when we're at like 35 people and we're just like begging in trade for someone to come with us. So,
well, at least the nice thing about flex rating is that you can start a group with 7, but the bosses are still tuned for 10.
right.
So even if you're a little short waiting for some people, start it up, get in there, start clearing trash, and when you get those epic drops, tell the other people, too bad, next time be on time.
One of the cool things, too, that I like about it is the fact that I can, if I've done the first 6 bosses, I can still go in. Like, if a team is starting at boss 5, I can still go in and do it. I don't get loot, but it doesn't lock me out like it does like it did in TOT. So that's really cool.
Flex is flexible.
Yes, indeed. So for me, this is tough. It's bittersweet, because this is the last major patch of the expansion. And I know the expansion's coming to the end. And Miss Pandaria has been cherished by me, because it's been the perfect expansion for me. The theme is good, the story is good, monks, of course, and so I'm glad to see it come to a culmination, but I'm sad to see this end, because it's been one of the best story-driven expansions thus far, in my opinion. So, in short, I can't wait to see how the Wrathion and the Garrosh story ends. Wait, that's not really a feature, is it? Timeless Isle? Question mark? Now
The story is a good feature.
Yes, it is.
It's a feature.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Now, Yuki, what's your?
I'm pretty much on the same boat as Sunnier and Duke. Mine is a mix between Proving Grounds and Flex Rating. Very excited for Flex Rating. That way, I don't have to commit to a normal raid in case I can't make it one day, or I show up like a little late. Doesn't matter. Flex Rating. Proving Grounds is gonna be fun as well, especially on my main spec to practice getting better on Mistweaving, and especially my off spec, which I'm horrible at, which is Brewmaster. Need a lot of practice on that. Flex Rating is gonna be kind of concerning me as well, as far as tanks, because it could flex up or down, but you still need 2 tanks for most of the fights. Sorry. So that'll be interesting to see if how the scaling goes, if a tank drops or not. So
Yeah, that is kind of the bottleneck, is the tanks, because you always need 2. Healers you can get away with having 5 or 6, or if it scales down, but you always need 2 tanks. But luckily it's only 2. It's not 3, 4, 5. So it shouldn't be too bad, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the minimum you're going to see for flex rating is your standard 2, 3, 5 of tank, healer, DPS, and then for every 2 to 3 DPS, you're going to want to add another healer.
Yep. Sounds about right. All right, Golvin, what is your most looked for feature in 5.4?
Well, for me it's Timeless Isle, mainly because I have a plethora of alts, and even just today, going through for a few hours, being able to collect almost a full alt character worth of gear is just going to make it a lot more, easier to gear them up and kind of get them into maybe an LFR or into flex mode rating or anything like that. So that's what the main aspect I'm looking forward to actually enjoying now. And also just all the other items on there too. I mean, so much easier to get like the coins from the chest than it is maybe from the just actual creatures on the isle. So it's just, if you don't want to fight, if you just want to mindlessly listen to a podcast, for instance, and kind of roll around, you can just go ahead and do that, and it's makes it so that it's an enjoyable feature, and like not stressful, or not as requirement of like having your character be geared to actually gear it up, which is what I really enjoy.
Yep. All right, well, let's summon some elemental spirits and get into
Storm, Earth, and Fire.
So, Storm, Earth, and Fire is where we talk about our monks and rating progression, etc. So, myself and Daikatsu, our team Rolling Thunder. Well, we just stepped in this morning and took out Garrosh. Wait, was I dreaming that?
No. That was a For the Alliance run.
Oh, right. Okay. We went in the last
World
couple.
first, baby.
We went in the last couple weeks for a little bit more gear from TOT. We went down to just on Fridays, and so 5.3, that whole expansion, not a single weapon drop for me. Oh yeah. So this week we're going to be spending our first raid night getting the legendary cloak for everybody. I think we've got 6 or 7 of our 10 players that are on that stage, so that's going to be a huge bump up for us, which is going to be nice. So now Yuki, 26 gold.
Carry me. 26 gold. Like I said earlier, last 2 weeks in WoW, been taking some time off, chillaxing. So the raid team as well, they did a little bit of chilling, laying back, enjoyed Labor Day weekend, and at the moment they're gonna focus on their mains because, like I said, 26 gold is basically mostly an alt team, and myself and I think a healer and maybe a DPS, we're the only ones that are on our main. So for right now, Rex, which is the raid leader, he's changing it to flex rating.
Oh.
So I'm kind of iffy at the moment because I already signed up for our flex raid team. So we'll see how it goes. I might level another monk, or yeah. Well, 2 flex raid teams.
Well,
Don't they share the same lockout?
That's the nice thing is that you can actually go in and do the same boss. You can use your bonus coins for rolls, but you don't get loot the second time. But you're not locked out. So if you want to come along just for the fun of being with all 25 monks, you're more than welcome to do that. And so if we're a little bit further along than them, then that's fine, and you can always kick back and do it with them.
Yeah, I knew there was a loophole in there somewhere where you'd have to do the same bosses twice. But I forgot how it worked.
Yeah, it's basically...
As long as if one person has not done a boss, then that's the boss you're on.
Right. And that boss opens back up. All right. Sunnier, how's your team done?
Well, we spent the last 2 weeks struggling with more recruitment and vacations. And last night we got some attempts in on Laishan, but even though we got him to 1%, we ran out of time. So unfortunately, we did not get the heroic achievement for this tier.
Really, 1% on heroic Laishan.
I know. 77 million health left.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. That stinks.
Yeah, it sucks. But hopefully this tier we recruited some pretty good people, so I think we're gonna have a strong start.
Good. We look forward to hearing your heroic achievements. Not even achievements, but just your normal achievements. All right, Golvan, what raid team are you on?
Well, I am currently the officer for Angry on US Illidan. We do mainly 25 heroic, stuff. Was able to get 25th US on 25 man this coming tier. This past year, excuse me, and so we're kind of just focusing down, trying to see if we can maybe get to that first page, which is, I believe, the top 20, and kind of shooting for that as a goal. Hopefully, just with seeming like some of the higher names, like say Vodka and Exodus going bye-bye, doesn't end up pushing us up there as a result. But hopefully, we can achieve good progress and have everybody on the same page. And we have a really strong raid team this tier, probably the strongest that we've had since I've been in the guild, which has been about, I think, 3 years now. And so, it's definitely something that we're kind of striving for. But this week, at least this past week, we've been just, kind of taking it easy, farming up a heroic TOT, and just getting those last coin rolls, hoping for some, a heroic Juju for myself to drop, which didn't. Heroic TF Juju, which did unfortunately drop, or any, really anything good, mainly caster loot, which is very terrible for any Windwalker out there.
Yeah.
And just kind of taking it easy, just a slow week, getting kind of prepared, and then today going in and hopefully punching out a few bosses.
Wow, so you guys are starting early, starting strong. So
yeah, definitely.
Good luck.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah, we're gonna be hopefully shooting for probably 5 or 6 tonight.
Wow.
On the first day, because we do raid for 4 hours, but we did all PTR testing for the first 9 bosses, and it's the first time that we've really done any PTR testing at all. Like we used maybe 10 every once in a while, but because we're central time zone, and some of us are Pacific time where we have jobs and whatnot. Unless we call in sick for a day or something like that, or just able to schedule a day off, it's very difficult to get the PTR testing in.
Yeah. Well, we'll be shooting for one boss on Friday, so yeah. All right, let's hurl a keg of our finest beer. Sad, but let's do it anyways.
Dizzying Haze.
So, Dizzying Haze, so we're going to the news of the World of Warcraft, and I think we'll be spending most of our time in this segment, because unless you've been living under a rock, 5.4 dropped today. So, we'll be spending pretty much our whole time in here today going over the final changes that we've been discussing for the last few episodes. So, let's dive right in. We'll go over talents first, go over general things, then dive into the more spec-specific stuff. So, Chi Brew. This one's been changed a little bit. Might actually take this. Chi Brew now restores 2 Chi, has a 45-second cooldown, down from 1.5 minutes, and generates stacks of brews and teas based on the monk's specialization. So for Brewmasters, you'll get 5 stacks of Elusive Brew, Mistweavers will get 2 stacks of Mana Tea, and Windwalker will get 2 stacks of Tiger Eye Brew. So I read somewhere, and I think this is if you take Power Strikes in conjunction with it, that it will give a timer.
Can't do that.
Oh, that's true. I read somewhere where if you, it will have something like roll, where it will have charges that will refill. You hit twice.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, that's actually how it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that kind of fixes your complaint about that last time, Duke, is that the burst goes away, but now you can hit both of the charges right away.
You can spam them both at once if you want to, but then you max up your chi like instantly, so you have to be like super quick with it. But you can't do that.
That's what he wants, is to be able to hit uplift.
As a healer, that's what I want, because I want to be able to toss out 2 more uplifts real quick.
Yeah,
and that pretty much defines Mistweaver Burst.
Yep. So okay, well they fixed that for you, because I know you were complaining about that before. So that's been changed. That's good.
I mean, it does have like, well, just to clarify, it does have like a little bit of like a GCD lag to it. So, let me try here in a little bit, but it does look like that. Yeah, you can't hit them twice in a row, because I haven't done that in Windwalker, but it's mainly because I dumped the chi and then I do hit it again, and so it does do that. But yeah, it generates like roll though. You gain them back similar, so it has like a slow refill.
That's cool. So for Windwalker, depending on your mastery stat, I think this is going to be a choice. When you're still at low mastery, before we get higher in the gear level, this is actually pretty strong, because this will get you your stacks of Tiger Eye Brew much quicker. I think once we get to the higher item levels and your mastery is higher, you'll have no problems getting Tiger Eye Brew when you need it. So I think you'll probably bounce out of that, but I will probably be switching to this right at the beginning. Thinking the same thing, Golvin?
Yeah, like currently what it's simming out to as far as everything goes on, spreadsheets, and then also just SimCraft stuff is, Haze is being overly pumped right now. So it's just that SimCraft is like perfect rotation. No one has that at all. Like, meaning your GCDs are never capped or anything like that. You never wasting a chi. But the way that Chi Brew works is because you can get that burst up front with your trinkets and everything. It just becomes like a really more powerful, because you can dump all that chi, and like you said with mastery, the new mastery, you're going to be able to probably get to 10 stacks within the Bloodlust, which is kind of like a first for us as Windwalkers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something you want to go. So probably around like 5.5 to 6.5k haste is probably when you want to go for at the start. And then obviously the more later in the tier, probably want to get that back up to like the rune reforging, if you're anybody out there was doing that. So like more around the 8 or 9k, maybe even 10k if you're lucky.
Okay. All right. So 5 stacks of Elusive Brew. That's actually pretty good burst. You can get 10 stacks right away. What do you think about that, Sunir?
Yeah, I mean, it's still not. I can't compare with the other 2 Power Strikes and Ascension on a pure chi generation level, but this talent will be pretty great for what I call cold starts, which are like when you're pulling a boss and you don't have any vengeance or elusive brew stacks. You can get those up right away. You can shuffle right away, and then you are a lot less squishy.
Mm-hmm.
And those happen surprisingly often. So I think this will be not your talent that you use all the time, but a good choice for many situations.
Yeah, it's good that they're giving Brewmasters choice now on these, that depending on the fight, you're choosing your talents. And I think they've done a good job of balancing these for the most part. So let's talk about another talent been redesigned, Chi Burst. Chi Burst no longer requires a target, and it now travels in a 40-yard line in front of the monk. So this is essentially the old Rushing Jade Wind, just now in Chi Burst form. So, yeah, if you... in fights like Megara and Jinrock, where all the members are stacked up, this is excellent because you're getting nice burst of damage and healing at the same time to everybody in your raid, which is great. And it becomes a lot easier to use because I know before on like Megara, I would have to always back up. Okay, cast. And now, does it still have a cast time? Yes.
Yeah, it's basically the same, just no target.
Okay. All right, cool. What do you think, Mistweavers? Are you going to use this at all?
I might find a couple of places for it. Areas where if people stack up too much, Chi Torpedo isn't very good because then you're the only one not stacked up.
Mm-hmm.
I know that now has more experience with the old Rushing Jade Wind than I do. So now, what do you think?
Yeah, like Chai T was saying before, you'd have to back up and then cast it. Now it's a 6-second cooldown. Every 6 seconds you're casting it if you're AoEing. And it's everything around you basically. So, and the effects on it is awesome. It did buff up your spinning crane kick before, but I'm interested to see the numbers on it because I put it in right before the show just to mess around with it while I was in the Timeless Isle, but I wasn't really paying attention to numbers. At the same time, I wasn't really healing you guys, so
that's why I was dying.
You died right before I could pop Life Cocoon. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
If they didn't nerf Revival, I would have healed you a lot.
All right. So, for Brewmaster, what do you think about the Chi Burst?
Well, really nothing has changed about this talent except that it's much easier to use, and that's the big thing. It will also, since it's so much easier, it kind of fills that niche that Rushing Jade Wind left behind, where you have to pick up a bunch of ranged mobs. And that ease of use is actually a really big deal, and this talent will be a very tempting choice on many of the AoE fights that exist in Tier 16.
Yep. All right, yeah, because you definitely need something for that ranged pickup because Crackling Jade Lightning can only go so far. All right, Healing Elixirs, one that hardly anyone ever took. Let's see if they can fix that. So it no longer activates if the monk is already at full health. So before it would do that and just made it completely useless. And it activates now automatically when the monk is less than 35% of their health. So it's kind of like a survival heal. So my analysis is I still don't think this is too useful for Windwalkers. There are situations where this could be handy, especially for Brewmasters, as they have a lot of different brews that they drink. So lots and lots of self-heals going out. But really we have Purifying Brew. No, that's Brewmaster, sorry. We have Fortifying Brew and Energizing Brew, and then Nimble Brew. And
Chi Brew.
Tiger Eye Brew?
Tiger Eye Brew.
Tiger Eye Brew. Okay, well, all right. You guys are starting to sway me a little bit. Yeah, hint Tiger Eye.
Drunks.
Yeah, we're all drunks. Oh, so Chi Brew actually counts for that too. So,
Yeah, it is a brew.
Yeah, lots of self healing. So yeah, I'll have to take a look at that over Ascension. But
It
probably
continues
take
that.
I'm
It
sorry.
continues that theme idea where the utility that a Windwalker brings to a raid is, don't worry guys, I got this.
right, but giving up diffuse magic for it, that's
Tough
kind
choice.
of tough. I guess
Well, there's a ton of fights in Siege where I have actually just physical components only. Like the one I can think of is General Nazgrim.
Okay.
Is one that is physical only. So yeah, Dampen Harm might help, I guess, with maybe a Roar, I guess, on heroic mode. But this actually might be a good talent to go to since it'll just stack up and you won't have to really worry about. And it's kind of like you said, it's that don't worry guys, I got this, or you can just forget about me. I'll go do my own thing. It's like, you know, the healers don't have to worry about that, you know, Windwalker at all during that fight. You take like a lot of sustained damage.
Did it do this before? Every 18 seconds you gain healing elixirs? Did it do that? In 5.3?
Yeah.
I think
I never
yeah,
used the
the only
talent.
yeah,
The real
neither.
difference now is that it doesn't trigger if you're full health, which is like, well, okay, there went that buff.
Right.
And, of course, the automatic trigger if you hit 35%, which means it should just bounce you back to 50.
Right. So I guess in fights where you are taking more sustained damage but not burst damage is where you're going to want to use that.
Yeah, exactly. Like one I can think of is I think it's a Malkarok one where actually it might be really OP for Windwalkers. Actually, probably for all specs that might be one because when you are not grouped up, because you can't take really any healing, it may just heal you percentage-wise of your actual total health. So if you do take a damage attack, you might still be able to actually heal yourself up without having to cheat. Like it's kind of like cheesing it, the mechanics of that fight. So that might be something to look into. Actually, I'll probably try it today if we get to that boss. But that might be, you know, more beneficial on and again, like physical damage fights or anything that where you're taking a lot of damage constantly is probably something you'd want to do because you know you could pop a Nimble Brew. You know, when you're not even, you know, because you might not need it for anything.
Right, if
time. So
there's no horrifying effects or anything like that, then yeah.
Yeah, there's no like, you know, fears or stuns or anything like that during the during the encounter, so you can just go ahead and pop it as like a quick heal, or like, you know, Chi Brew, you could pop it because you're gonna be using it anyways, and then it kind of keeps you up to 100%. So,
Yeah.
you know, for 10 mans, I think this is probably going to be one of the ones that for a Windwalker to go to and say, you don't have to worry about me, and you can kind of talk to your raid leader and say, let me in the raid, please, as a Windwalker, because that seems like the hardest place to go in for any Windwalker, so it might be something to argue about now.
Okay. Does Sunyear's cat have a opinion on this?
Yeah, I guess he decided to hover in for a few seconds there.
All right, what are you
For
thinking?
Mistweavers, I do want to say one thing. If you're going to take healing elixirs, this is a good one to combo with the Glyph of Chi Brew, mainly because then at that point you have an instant 15% self-heal.
Yep.
That costs you no mana and actually gives you back Chi.
Good tip. All right, Brewmaster, what do you think, Sunyear?
I think just like before, healing elixirs shouldn't really tempt us away from diffuse magic and dampen harm. I really like the automatic heal at 35%. That's kind of a big deal. And we're starting to get a lot of those, especially with this patch. A lot of low health automatic heals.
Mm-hmm.
So
me
it might
worried.
be a good choice for fights that pretty regularly cut your health down that low, so you can actually depend on it. And as always, it's useful for fights where dampen harm and diffuse magic won't really work.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see a lot of that last year, but this year we might. So we'll have to see if these buffs are enough to overcome the stigma against using it as a Brewmaster.
Yeah,
Can I jump in there real quick, just to add on to that, as Brewmaster as well? Because I was actually able to talk with Dot last night, and brought that up about how the new change to healing elixirs, and he says it might actually be a good choice for anything, because Dampen Harm just reduces it by the attack by half, and since it could probably proc a lot, like, you could basically, like Raden, for example, if there's a fight like that where you're constantly getting meleeed all the time, it just like 3 attacks and it's gone. Where this one, you can be able to use it a bunch more times often and actually keep yourself alive. Like, or like, you know, for Raden, if you get trucked down, instantly you're back up to the like 35%.
Yeah, and that's that thing. Some fights
50%.
can really regularly drop your health down low, and if you know it's coming, you can rely on healing elixirs, and that would actually be really great. So.
I'm thinking
I
Tordos
guess melee-
might have been a good one back in the day for that.
Yeah, the rockfall damage.
Right. Or the bats, if you're on bats.
I think we all kind of agree here that Blizzard may have turned a talent that everyone kind of chuckled at, and now it's like, oh, hello there.
Yes.
How are you?
It actually brings
Yeah, definitely.
it gives you a choice, and I think I keep coming back to this, but it's exactly true, is that Blizzard has really looked at each tier and said, there are going to be situations where you're going to use every single talent, and which I think is great, because in the last tier they did not do a good job of that. I never touched healing elixirs. I rarely touch power strikes, never touch Zen Sphere. So there are all these talents that now we'll actually get to use, which is cool. So let's go on to the level 90 talents, which is the biggest changes, I think, so far. Invokes Juan, the White Tiger. Now has a pet control bar, and talent's no longer on global cooldown, so you can add it to your macros, which is nice. So, my analysis. Yay! Okay, that's it. Brewmasters?
Yeah, I think, so for Brewmasters taking this talent for the first time, I recommend turning off the taunt for sure, just because that's a good thing to have control over, and it's really obnoxious when you randomly taunt stuff off of you. And also the leap, because the leap often causes him to bug out on a lot of fights, and I think it's just easier to not have him bug out and not have to like worry about it and then check recount. And but with those two things now in our hands, it's going to be a really great change.
All right. And for Mistweavers, I guess if you guys just want to use the Eminence to heal everybody, it's still good, but...
Yeah, it's a really nice clutch bit. I mean, Zuan had its places in a couple of fights if you really needed the extra DPS or if you ever... But, I mean, for Eminence healing, there's better options. This Eminence is so low now, it's not really worth trying to be an Atonement Priest.
All right, and we'll step back a little bit. Power Strikes. Now activates from the following cheat generating abilities: Jab, Expel Harm, Spinning Crane Kick when it hits at least 3 targets, Crackling Jade Lightning, and Soothing Mist. So in fights where damage is going to be constant and steady, this should help out more than Chi Brew. So it's nice that you get a little bit more Chi from time to time, and it's more than just Jab and Expel Harm, which is good.
Yeah, and for Mistweavers, there were a few points in which you wanted to go to Power Strikes over Chi Brew because, well, I'm going to be just constantly casting uplifts out, so let me get that extra Chi, so I'm doing the Soothing Mist and everything else. When you're sticking to your standard rotation and it's just heal all the things constantly, Power Strikes actually worked out better than Chi Brew. The only points Chi Brew ever worked out is if you had steady, reliable bang phases like Tortoise Quake Stomp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes an interesting choice between Power Strikes and Chi Brew. But I think for Mistweaver, still Chi Brew with that burst is pretty good. And we just lost Naoyuki. There he is. Okay. All right, Ring of Peace. Got buffed a little bit, up from 3 seconds
It's like a
to 4
hardly
seconds.
noticeable buff.
Yeah, it's an extra second.
Tiny.
It helps. And I haven't looked at the new thing, but I have the ability. So, oh, no, I don't. Never mind. I'm currently in leg sweeps. Never mind.
Not bad.
It's a lot more noticeable, which is going to help out, like, if you used it for Megara Heroic, for instance. Like, that's one of the ones where when the ads popped out with that extra head, sometimes you couldn't tell if, like, oh, well, did the other, monk use it, or what's going on, and you have to, like, see because there's so much, like, spell graphics going on. So having that there is, like, it's a lot easier to actually find, especially with, like, the PTR testing that I was doing. It was a lot easier to say, okay, now I'm up next for my Ring of Peace type of a thing.
Okay. I'm just in game right now checking out all these new graphics. Let's see. Ooh, Rushing Jade Wind, purdy. Let's talk about that next. All right, Rushing Jade Wind, complete redesign. Replaces Spinning Crane Kick when you take it. So what it will do is it will summon a whirling tornado around you, which is really pretty, I just saw. It deals damage to nearby enemies, and will also, if you're a Mistweaver, heal nearby allies. It has the same cost, chi generation, and periodic rate as Spinning Crane Kick, but it only does 80% of the periodic damage or healing. But it lasts 6 seconds, is instant and not channeled, so it allows you to keep doing your rotation, which can be extremely powerful for Mistweavers because it's just a free, well, not free, but is an AoE heal that you just set and forget. I think this is a huge change and will change how the monk AoE and cleave happens. I really enjoy the set and forget it aspect of it. I always like those types of talents where you just hit it once and you just keep going. So, Mistweavers, how do you think this is going to help you out?
Well, I just noticed I was talking about this instead of Chi Burst earlier.
Oops.
I think I was doing
bad.
the same thing. This one's actually got me kind of excited. Go ahead now.
I'm I really like Rushing Jade Winners. Like I was saying before, I have to see the numbers. It pretty much puts Spinning Crane Kick and Rushing Jade Wind and puts them into one with a very, very cool graphic. 6-second cooldown, but instant, not channeled, and you can cast other stuff while your Rushing Jade Wind is running. You know, I could pop it, go in a group, AoE heal, while I cast Soothing Mist or Renewing Mist, Uplifts, whatever. So it'll be interesting to see the numbers on this.
All right, and what do you think?
And it's also a smart heal, which is a really nice thing, which means that it's going to look for 6 people that are most injured around you and favor those people before moving on to others. It's also going to ignore some of the minor pets like a DK Bloodworm and other things like that. I know it de-emphasizes hunter pets as well. So in general, it's actually the update that Smart Heal also applies to Spinning Crane Kick. But the really nice thing about this is hit Rushing Jade Wind, hit your GCD, continue on with your rotation like nothing was ever happening. You can move around while it's active. You can stand still while it's active. Either way, you're continuing to be active while this is going on. And that's one of the things that we lost with Spinning Crane Kick.
Right. All right, so for Brewmasters, how's this for you guys?
Well, this talent's amazing. It's going to change the way our AoE works. Let's see, it lets you cast Keg Smash and Blackout Kick for the duration, obviously, so you can keep your defenses up. Also allows you to continue to generate your Elusive Bruise stacks. So previously when we used Spinning Crane Kick, you have to be prepared. You have to have guard up, or you have to have a million stacks of Elusive Brew because you're going to get hit hard, and you're going to have to be very fast to react to it appropriately. Now we've got that taken care of, and on top of that, it's a big DPS boost for us. And since so many fights in Siege are AoE fights, this is going to be our new best friend.
Yeah, it's the fact that Siege of Orgrimmar is so ad heavy is going to really bring the monks to the forefront. A lot of, I think, Golvin, you mentioned in your recent podcast that there's going to have to be a lot of raid leader education. That we have to say, hey, yeah, we got dumped on a single target DPS a lot because Rut-Row went away, but AoE fights, we rock. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, this one talent by itself basically changed the AoE for Windwalkers. By just having this is going to make it to where you're not going to have to worry about doing any kind of like Spin Crane Kick, you couldn't, you had to, sit there and watch your timer go. And then now you can do this, keep your rotation, keep your brews generating, just like Brewmaster. I mean, it's just like Brewmaster. Anything with, I guess, 3 or more, it's going to be a better, the better thing than the Zwen right now.
Right.
Just because of how it's scaled, especially with the buff that they just recently did on the PTR. Like, on the PTR, it was just really not as powerful as it is currently, like right now live. So they did buff it because it was actually doing less damage than Spinning Crane Kick. So they buffed it up a little bit at the last rendition of the patch, and then now what we have now is what it's going to be. And it also does an insane amount of damage. It looks like they did fix it on your Stormwrath and Fire clones. It was not reducing it, so it was doing 100%, but it still does a lot. They also cast it. So since they don't have the restrictions that a single target rotation does when they're casting it, it's even more AoE damage. So it's really nice.
Right. Okay, let's see. Looks like we're having Skype issues. Hooray. So, yeah. Go on to Zen Sphere. So that now deals 15% more healing and damage. Yeah, good try, Blizz. Still not using it. That's all I gotta say. I know Sunnier had some thoughts on this one, though.
Yeah, I mean, I still like the low health detonate and the ease of use, because you just keep it up all the time and it'll heal you automatically. But sadly, the healing output is still lower than Chi Wave, and it just doesn't really match the utility of Chi Burst. So it kind of depends on how useful that low health heal will be, and if that alone can make up for the lack of actual heals it provides.
Right. All right, so that's it for talents. Let's move on to glyphs. So, Glyph of Fortuitous Spheres. This replaces the Glyph of Retreat, and I'll go ahead and take Air's place. No! Okay. So now what it will do is cause a healing sphere to appear near the monk when you're below 25% health. It has a 30-second cooldown. So, like you were saying, Sunnier, there seems to be a lot of trigger heals when below a certain amount of health, which makes me very scared for Siege of Orgrimmar, because it's like you're going to go down below 25% health a lot, it seems. So this could be a contender to replace Touch of Death glyph for me, because I think the problem we had in 5.3 was that there were two glyphs that were pretty good, and then one just kind of meh, you can choose whatever you want. And it was always Touch of Death for me, but in a raid situation, don't get to use it too much. This has benefit. This has, okay, this could save me from dying.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
It's definitely one of those items that you can use to save yourself from dying. I mean, it's again, like we were mentioning earlier about the, especially the legendary cloak, and then also healing elixirs. This is one of those other ones that you can add in replace of like maybe an AOE fight with spinning crane kick, because you're not going to use that with Rushing Jade Wind as your option for an AOE fight. So you have a lot more things you can pop in there. And that could be definitely an option that you can use.
Yeah. So, again, like Sonny was saying, it's pretty cool for when you get to low health, which they're starting to get lots of ways to combat this, because 25% is very low health for a tank. But since Brewmasters tend to have low max health anyways, they'll probably activate fairly often. It's a good default glyph for Brewmasters. So let's go on to Stone Skin. That's one I used to use from time to time. It used to reduce bleed damage, which is nice. Now it's been replaced with Glyph of Detox. Now when you use Detox, when you're successful in removing a harmful effect, it will heal the target as well. Do we know how big of a heal that is yet?
According to the glyph, it says 5%.
5% of max health. For tanks, that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, so it's going to heal your target for 5%, but the key is that it has to remove a harmful effect. If you're just casting Detox to spam a new heal, nothing. Don't bother. It's just going to be a bonus on top of any fight where there's a ton of debuffs that come out, poisons, all that other stuff. For me, it's fairly non-exciting. There might be a couple of fights where it's useful if there's a ton of stuff going out. Other than that,
yeah.
And